Oh, I can get my kid come out with the French horn version. We can do
There we
French horn
go.
version. So
Everybody loves a good French horn version.
why not, right?
That's how you get dates to the prom.
That's right. That's right.
Aren't you that cool kid with the French horn?
French horn
You know
kid.
it.
Yeah, that's right.
Womp. I understand it's a trombone, but like
Same sound, basically the same.
I would like to think you can make that with a French horn.
Yeah.
Anyways, on that note, well, let's get the show started.
The adult beverages are poured. The kids are asleep. Welcome to New Dad Gaming. It's a show about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives.
My name is Trevor, and I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 14-year-old and an 11-year-old.
Jeff, have you ever wanted to go professional? You ever wanted to go pro?
Go pro gaming? All right, let's do it.
I mean, PS5 Pro, buddy.
Well,
they're doing it. And for a low price of just near 1,000 Canadian dollars, you can have a PS5 Pro.
Yeah.
So, how you feeling, buddy?
You know, can I sum this up in like
Please.
an analogy? It was the best one I saw was when you go to the eye doctor and they're like, number 1 or number 2, number 1 or number 2, and you're doing the lenses and you're like, I'm not sure, and you go back and forth. That's what this presentation was like, where you're like, if I squint, I can see a difference in the fidelity of what they're presenting to what I already have at home. But okay. So I was on board for the first part of this presentation, and then that price hit. I'm like, no.
Thank you.
That's a no.
I'm trying to remember back the PS4 Pro, which felt like a bigger jump, if for nothing else than just the load times, which with the PS4 was still of consequence, right? But I cannot recall this much of a jump. Like it felt like it was a slight premium for a slight premium device, and now I don't know if you're using the PS5 and you think to yourself, look, we don't have to be naive. It's not as if you're looking at it's like, if only this was better. These graphics suck. You're not saying that. But there could at least be this pull where it's like, oh, imagine if this was even better. And I could see that from the PS4 to the PS4 Pro, but it just feels like we've kind of gotten too far. Or am I misreading it? Like, where are you landing on this?
No, I think definitely we're in diminished returns now, where the PS4 to PS4 Pro, everyone's PS4 was super loud too. So even just having the Pro version would be like, oh, is it quieter? That's amazing. I'm in, right? And a lot of that jump was also frame rate. And they talk a little bit about frame rate here. They're like, hey, I know a lot of games struggle. 30 frames is quote unquote choppy to them. And we're going to give you the graphics as well as everything else at 60. Now, caveat to that is like, if you read online, they're not guaranteeing 60 frames for every game. So you may get it, you may not. So
that's just unacceptable. Right? Like for the premium, you're going up to Pro, but we can't promise you 60 frames a second.
Yeah.
It's just like, what are we doing here? Like, why would you not instead just put this energy into like, hey, here's a cheaper PS5?
Exactly. Right. Like that would be like a even slimmer model. Like just make it like a little mini, right? Like
PS2 Slim was gorgeous. Like that was a fantastic device. That was such a welcome device when that came out. And yeah, dude, I don't know. I here's where I'm coming from. I'm still playing NHL 2017.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it like, this is really good. Like I'll say this. I actually was playing NHL 24 on my Xbox 360. So that not 360, geez. Xbox Series S. And I prefer the 17, not just for how it feels. And then the fidelity. I mean, again, like if you had like screenshots directly side by side, you could tell, like certainly probably tell
Right.
the difference, right?
Yeah.
However, that's a dumb phrase. You could certainly tell the difference, but in the moment as you're playing it, nothing. So it's almost, for me, it literally feels like it's asking that person who's on the PS4 and just loving it, or at least that kind of game experience. Like you're looking at it, it's like, oh, this is fun, this is great, and then you come in, it's like, hey, don't you want this to look better? And it's like, I don't see how, and even if it could be, I don't see how that improves anything. Like we hit upon this last episode, and it's not just the graphics are fine. They're stunning. They're beautiful. The worlds are massive. The load times are low. That's great. Do something more unique with the game, because it's the same games that exist on the old systems, like exactly like the hockey one that I'm saying, which is a dumb example, but I think it's illustrative in that there's only so far you can take it. The thing to do would be to find some new way to capture, like enable gaming with all this extra power, as opposed to like it looks like there's now more hairs on their beards. It's right, like what?
Yeah,
I'm just flabbergasted. It's just like, what are we doing here?
I just hope that this isn't like, because competition in the market drives kind of the price, and Sony can kind of be the market leader in there and say, hey, no, we're setting the prices now. And we're back to like the PS3 era is what I thought of. Like that launch price was ridiculous. And we're back there saying, no, this is what you get, take it or leave it. And a lot of that stuff, like you talked about, is like, do I really, there's nothing else pulling me, right? They didn't even show a game that is new and would feature all these crazy things they're adding. So like ray tracing and all this stuff. You know what? You could have featured something new. Even the Minecraft with ray tracing on, I think would have turned people's heads a little bit. If they kind of collaborated with Microsoft, that would be hilarious. But they didn't. They showed all these old games. You're like, I don't want to play Last of Us again. I'm sorry. It was a great game on the PS4 early, right? I don't need it on a PS5 Pro. What else do you have? And they didn't really show much, with the open promise of like, maybe you'll get more.
That's a fantastic point. It really needed the killer app, because it's the current suggestion is like, hey, Spider-Man looks better. God of War looks better. And we're still like, I would say the PS4, when I'm playing not Breath of the Wild, the Horizon Zero Dawn. It's still like, I'm shocked. It's unbelievable how good it looks. It's like, hey, it looks better. Will you give me 1,000? It's like, no, this is fun.
Nice try.
So I came across this interesting chart. I thought this was fantastic. So it's the console prices through the years adjusted for inflation.
Oh, yeah.
So now this came up a bunch because people, I think, much like ourselves, were just kind of reeling. Like, I meant, your kid wants this for Christmas. Like, what is a gaming dad to do? Yeah, I'll drop $1,000 on a console. Like, are you kidding me, for Christmas? But I digress. What's interesting is, so adjusted for inflation, the most fascinating one is how expensive some of the old timey systems were. And what I'm talking about is the Atari 260 or 2600 would, adjusted for inflation, is $1,000.
Yeah, that was not that was not a good price point. But well, again, and like, they're just breaking into the market at that point. But
yeah, the SNK Neo Geo was $1,600. The 3D, the Philips CDI, I didn't know that existed, $1,600. 3DO $1,500. PlayStation 3 was okay. So this is kind of interesting. So the PlayStation 3 60 gig was $930.
I remember it being crazy big. It was probably over $600 just like at the time, and that was nuts.
So now for me, here's the damning one, right? The PlayStation 4 Pro, adjusted for inflation from launch, was $523. Now,
right,
the components are better. Of course, they're better. Like it is a different system. Like we can certainly say that, but it's not as if they haven't done this. Like they know. It's a weird. It feels like a weird mistime when the economy is under this much strain, people are having trouble with groceries, into this market with devices that are already surpassing anything we could possibly do. Our phones have more power than any rocket we've ever sent to space, right? Just
Right.
carried in our pocket. A time of saturated power of technology. They launched this. Hey, it's slightly pro. No, you can't always have 60 frames a second. That'll be $1,000, please.
Yeah. Not the greatest, right? Like, again,
Yeah. Like I said, it's not anger, it's disappointment. Or it's
it
like
is. It is.
I wish it was a cheaper. It was a handheld. It was some sort of handheld unit for streaming. It was as in like actual streaming, no device, like no PlayStation needed. It was a PS5 Slim. It was a
Yeah.
PS5 price reduction. It was any number of things, but instead, okay.
Yeah. Again, this is like we've had 3 price increases, I think, this year. The PS Plus tier increased to where it increased so much that I didn't subscribe again because it jumped like 50%. And then the controllers went up just last week in price. And now you have a system that really did go up in price. Like, I know there's more stuff in it. I get it. I understand that there's cost to that, but no disc, no stand, and it's significantly more expensive. And people do have less buying power these days. So I'm not sure. I know it's a premium product, but like, again, what they showed did not look like a premium showing of what I expect out of something like that.
Yeah. Hey, gaming dads out there, just would love to hear your thoughts about this. Kind of flabbergasted, disappointed, but let me know where you guys are at. Reach out to us at New Dad Gaming or newdadgaming.com. So from the PS5 Pro to the Gymnast Pro, what the thing that I'm having some feelings about this week is my youngest is going to try out for competitive gymnastics.
Okay.
So
right.
something that he had found a couple years ago, he's kept at it, and he wants to be challenged more. Like he said as much, right? And you give him I'm trying to like put together my thoughts because I said it's just like emotional is the wrong word. It's a difficult thing for me because I have a lot of concerns about it. What I'm concerned about is that he likes doing gymnastics. He has fun. And what I do not want to become is sports dad that pushes like him and tries to like drive him for something and potentially ruin something that he enjoys.
Right.
Now, what I do have control of is I can guarantee like I'm not going to get mad if he doesn't like him. I'm going to rip him out of it immediately. Not in the sense that like I'm going to. Well, see, there it is. You can see I'm already. I'm self-battling, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be more difficult challenges for him, and he'll want to give up. And what I need, the needle I need to thread, is okay. Are you just challenged and you need support so that we can work through this, or is this poisoning your joy and love for it? So we're going to pull back and get out of it. And that's the needle I have to thread to try to find this, because with him, he has potential. I don't know what this may be nothing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to like oversell this. It's like, oh, he's going to head to the Olympics. This is going to be amazing. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like, and it's not, so I don't think he's a generational talent. I'm trying to like oversell him. But what I do know is that he has a physicality and he's good at it. He likes it a lot. And more than that is like when someone comes up and says, hey, let's try to get you to do a handstand, and he can't quite get it. He's like, okay, let's do it again. No, let's do it again. Okay. Let's do it again. No, let me do it again. Let me try it again. Like it's that persistence. So being at the apex of all those things, having a physicality, having a love, and then having a persistence to want to constantly improve. Like I see that. And like, I played sports when I was younger. Like those are things I didn't have. Like I had fun, but I wasn't that great. And I didn't have a desire to get that much better. He has them. So what I'm trying to do is not push him, not poison something he loves, while also giving him an opportunity to exploit natural gifts. So yeah, that was a terribly composed paragraph, but it's because I am struggling with how to, and like, man, look, he's 7. This isn't this big a deal. It's fine. You know what I mean? And yet it's more the the idea of it being a dad and this moment comes, it's like, all right, do I now like push a little bit because he might have something?
Yeah. So from my perspective, where I don't subscribe to the idea of like competitive sports, might not be the best voice in this, but I hear what you're saying because there is a lot of competing thoughts, right? And you only want what's best for your kid, and the fact that you're considering it all, I think, shows again, great growth over a previous generation where they're kind of like, you do this and I paid for it and you're going to see it through. And yeah, life's hard, but suck it up. Right. So I think all those thoughts are kind of swirling in us a lot. And we're trying to undo a lot of that and, listen and support our kid. But yeah, not giving them a easy out when things kind of get tough for them and they, can do it, but they're like, I don't really want to because I was the best in my class and now I'm not the best. And that's an issue. There's going to be a lot of things like that. I'm more worried about the other parents because usually that's what I hear about from like friends at work, and they complain about the other parents because they're the ones like yelling and screaming at things when they go wrong. Now, gymnastics might be a lot easier because it's like individual, right? Versus being
Yeah.
a team and stuff. I can see it that a little bit, better than cheering for a team and pulling out another kid.
It's probably a good way to phrase it. Like, I'd like to think I have the right mentality around it because there's been a lot of every dad that I've met, the dads that we interact with on this podcast, like they're trying their real best to really listen and help their kids. They'll push them when they need to, in the sense that like, no, I know it's hard, you got to keep going, but it's like, hey, like I love you. You're enough. Like, what do you want to do? Oh, you like to dance? Awesome. Let's go do that. You know what I mean? Like what I'm finding is that there's the current generation of dads, like I'm really proud of, like generally just, it's like, wow, like we're kind of, I feel like we're heading in a good direction for them. So I can hopefully bring that energy to this space where it's like, you have a desire for it. He wants to do it. There's an opportunity. There is some latent talent, some ability. So it's a matter of, just navigating it.
Yeah. It's going to be something that you're going to have to work with, right? Like, it's just, I don't know. It's just being a parent. It's this hard stuff, right? And you're like,
I would just, man, like you see the people, like you see all these other kids like flipping and everything. It's like, oh, that's so cool, man. If like, if a kid could do that, that'd be so awesome. But
well,
more than that, like, yeah, go on.
I'm just picturing, like, let's say you need to chase them in a game of tag or something, and they're just like ninjing all across the walls, wall jumping, parkouring everywhere, and you're like, well, okay, I'm done. That's it. I'm it forever.
Yeah, go to bed. Fine. Flip, 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 flip. Just like just it up the stairs.
Yes, exactly.
He just pole vaults out of the back room and like he's like, hey, did you go out last night? He pole vaults into his window in the back from the backyard. No.
Yeah, perfect. Here you go.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun. The thing about it too, like immediately with he has to try out. It's not guaranteed. He hasn't made the team yet. To be clear, it's just like we made the decision to let him try it, and if he doesn't make it, it's 6 hours a week.
Oh my god!
There's 2 3-hour sessions he would start to go with, and this is again, this is where like it's going to be him led.
Woo.
Where it's just like, I need it, we'll take him there. He's going to do it. And it's like, okay, how was that? That was a long time. Was like, did you like the extra focus and you got to do some cool stuff? Or is like, hey, I hate that. That's way too much time.
Right.
Well, hey, I'll report back. I'm having strategies around like, gonna get my little retro console. I got to have it on the move.
Yeah, maybe you need a Steam Deck. I don't know. You can be sitting in the parking lot for 3 hours.
Oh, absolutely. So now you mentioned that you're not much into competitiveness.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder how you handled Nintendo World Championships. So this game, it was hard to understand, like the framing of it. Like I love you, like even the frame it as well. Like it's an interesting concept. But this is thankfully a code that we received from Nintendo. Like, thank you, Nintendo. Always grateful for it. And we only review games from them that we like. This one is why don't you cue it up? And like we both did it. And if you like competitiveness or like wild, incessant challenges, like this is your jam.
Yeah, so this is NES World Championships, where you run through, I think, 10 to 15 old Nintendo games, where they've kind of split it up into little bite-sized pieces of you like racing against the clock, and then you'll get, a level of, S tier, A tier, whatever. And then you can race your ghost and improve your time. So that's kind of cool. These little bite-sized chunks, some of them are like 5 seconds, some of them could be as much as 5 minutes, but usually it's like under a minute, right? And then there's the online portion of it where when you go into this thing, it registers you as like an age group. And they're like, oh, you're one of like the older gamers, so we're gonna pair you with the other older gamers in here, sport. So
it's everything we've ever wanted, Jeff.
Yeah.
It's just a dad group. This is fantastic. No youngins.
I don't need to be dealing with, Gen Z that takes this on and like, done. I need to deal with the people that have like arthritis acting up and, carpal tunnel, like, and see if I can beat their time. But I don't know your experience with this, but I had a blast with it. I think it was just bite-sized chunks enough for me to pick up and play. And I am not a multiplayer person, but I love being online with this thing. And I don't know if I don't know if you tried it out, but it's like your screen is split up, right, into like I think 6 people, and you go through the first kind of stage, and then I think the bottom 3 drop out, and then I think there's like 3 rounds of it, and like I'm just saying I won all my rounds, so I'm not saying I'm the best.
So the only reason you like it is because you're good at it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, let's go back to your kid. Like I'm the best now, so like
okay,
I love this, but. Yeah, there's a lot of, I don't know. I had a good time with it, and because it was relatively easy again to pick up and play and stop and start, I think it's a good dad game to kind of get into.
I don't want to say all. This is an unbelievable dad game. Like it's so much fun. It's all the games from our youth. Oh, sorry, that's way too broad. It is many like the key first like Nintendo games. Yeah. So there's like Icarus, there's Kirby, there's Zelda, there's Mario, of course. And I think the most fascinating, you get to play it. Everything is just on your Switch. You just have it there. So no ROMs, no old clunky systems. Like it is just the game, right? Sorry, It's not the full game, but like you are playing a version of the game. And what's great is you mentioned the word bite size. That's perfect. Because so many of these challenges, like it gets a bit silly later. Like it's, hey, beat all of Mario.
Yeah.
In one go, and it should last like 6 minutes. And
it's a lot.
However, but even if you think about that, like if you're good at it and you can get this done in like 6 to 10 minutes, that's not a bad gaming session. But anyways, that's the broad one. The first one is like, hit a Goomba and grab a mushroom. Right. As fast as possible. That's it. That is the entire challenge. That is a 6-second challenge. And as soon as you beat it, like they've done a lot of really great stuff around, okay, try it again. Do you want to try it again? Do you want to rewind? Do you want to try it again? Like it's super fast in that way. So condensed, it's a huge memory dump. It's all the games you remember. It's challenging and kind of addicting. And then it's like super fast and very contained. It's just these little things you get to choose, like pick a la carte, whatever kind of menu you want. Just a blast. How have your kids reacted to it? Have they played it at all?
So, okay. My 14-year-old wasn't interested at all. They're like, no, I don't want this. But my 11-year-old was like, let's go. I'm going to try this, right? Nice. And as soon as like I'm cleaning up with the times here, they're like, winning. You know what? I don't like this game. So it's more like, if they're winning against dad, maybe they would have a different thought on it. But this one, they couldn't beat my times. As soon as I set them, they were trying to beat them, and like, no, this I'm not getting.
That's amazing. So you've reasserted dominance.
Oh, absolutely. Like I'm like this. I grew up on this. Like
this is my house.
Exactly. And as soon as you unlearn some of the muscle memory, like we're watching a clip here of just like the end of World 1-1 or whatever, or 8-2. Not trying to hit the top of the flagpole because that costs you time in the air. You just need to hit the flagpole and end it, right? But my muscle memory is like, no, I need that one up because I might die. Yeah, exactly. So unlearn those things and you'll fly through these things. So
oh man, I'm just watching it. I recall that I had found a copy of Mario and I was like, man, I've never beat this. I never actually beat the entire game. So like, why don't
Oh
I
no.
try? And I was so bad I couldn't do it. Like I remember trying for a number of rounds that I just couldn't make it happen. So I'm watching this and it's like, oh no. Like I don't think I'd be able to. I couldn't beat it normally at a snail's pace, let alone like trying to get a top score.
Yeah, I think the speed can actually help you on this and the rewind feature. So you can use that as many times as you want. It could
Hmm.
take you 5 minutes or 15 minutes or 50 minutes.
Yeah, but I like it, man. This is so great. You now have the best score in the house. You reign supreme. They're not likely
Yeah.
to challenge you. And if they ever like talk smack about like, oh well, what's your Fortnite score? It's like, yeah, what's your Mario score? What you got? It's like, coming to the real game.
That's right. I'm sorry, you're talking to S tier over here. I don't know. That's my score.
When you get
Leaderboards.
once you get out of B Town, maybe we can talk. Get out of here.
Oh, you want to stay up late? Well, let's see. All right. Level 1-1. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, so hey, Nintendo, thanks for the codes. Dads, like do check this one out. Like it is such a throwback in the greatest sense of the world in that they take everything cool about those games and they add this nice modern twist. Super dad friendly.
Yep.
Now, speaking about that one though, on more for a modern title, you said some choice words to me
You call
during
me
the
out,
week, and I want yeah, I'll call you out. I want you to defend it, sir. So the exact words were, I believe Astro Bot might be better than Mario 64. And I won't say if that's incorrect. And unfortunately, I haven't played it. I can't tell you yay or nay, but bold choice. Why don't you walk us through your thinking?
Yeah, so okay. Mario 64, when that came out, was like, oh, mind blown, right? They
Mhm.
translated 2D to 3D. Insane. I think what I was going for in that is that Astro Bot here, the platforming,
Mhm.
brings back all those memories of like, oh my God, this is so much fun to play. I can't put it down because it's just fun, right? It's like tight platforming, lots of cute little characters. Everything's colorful, everything's dancing, the music's great, everything's animated, everything's interactive and bounces and moves. And it's just that joy of like, oh my God, they captured what Mario brought to me as a kid. But now, on top of that, like as an added bonus in that layer, is the fidelity behind it. Like these worlds are amazing. Like you can look at the top and see the end of the level, and you're like, oh, how do I get there? And it will, follow you, and the camera is amazing, and it will go through all these things. And then just the characters themselves are so well done and so well animated, and the texture work is all great, and it's just a joy to play. I played it with my kid, and we both had a blast, and it was like one of those like old Nintendo days where you're like, this is just fun to play and share with the family. And like Nintendo has, again, Sony has learned from Nintendo, and I think just made it, their own in a way. Well, in a lot of ways, but they just took the lessons from Nintendo that they spent all those years building and made some new standards of their own. And I think it just works. It's great. I love it. I want more of it.
I will say, like, in watching some of the replay, in this particular level, the Astrobot can be a normal size, but then he can shrink down to a mouse size. And what you're seeing is this immediacy around, all right, well, here's this, which isn't necessarily a new concept, but the fidelity, that's a great word that you used around, okay, well, when you're big, like you can access these things. When you're small, you can access these things. The crazy draw distance of when you go small. So you see these enemies coming up in the distance, but then you go small and they look like these absolute giants, like looming on the horizon. So it's never lost. Like they don't do any kind of like cute obscuring type things to try to say performance. Like it is just all real time. And he, as a big person, he hits the top of a cap, it goes flying off. Underneath that is a screw, and then his little guy like spins as a circle, and so he gets down to another world. Like it's all that like awesome interplay that you would want in like a platformer.
Yeah,
Done very joyously. So this is like, I think you may be right. Which, and also too, like real talk, like Nintendo.
Oh,
Mario 64 is very old.
very old, right?
So
They
it's
did what
almost,
they could.
yeah, like you'd almost want to more compare it to Super Mario Odyssey, which was
Yeah.
a stunning title,
Yeah.
right? Which you probably couldn't call this one better than Odyssey, but it'd be certainly a competitor to Odyssey because it's that good.
I would say, I know we're like running long on time here, but I would say it's better than Odyssey, not better than
Wow.
Mario Sunshine. Or no,
Okay.
Mario Galaxy.
Galaxy.
Definitely,
Okay.
definitely better than Sunshine. Mario Galaxy, because I think it borrows a lot of those concepts, but Galaxy was out first, and I think it was a little bit more like, oh my God, look what we can do. But with this one, again, it builds on things that I'm like, oh, it just refines everything and it finesses it. And even just, how you collect stars in Mario 64 and you're like, oh, I just need to find the stars. These ones are like you collect the bots, but they're bots from PlayStation brands and third-party brands. So you want to collect them because they're all different, and you take them back to your home and you buy them little stuff with in-game stuff. If there's no like purchases or anything, you earn all this money to get them little things, and then their animation changes, and then you have all these animated bots everywhere, and you're like, I want to collect more. And you just don't stop, Trevor. You just don't stop.
Yeah, this game looks fantastic. It was a really smart thing they did. Like, I think Astro Bot was just a demo initially, and I think they kind of realized, like, oh wait, we should probably do something that's this fun because this is really cool.
And just a quick thing too, with the midnight launch on this, I did stay up to watch it.
That is such a huge feat for a gaming dad, frankly.
Yeah, it really is, because it takes a lot out of you. But they had a little launch party in Astro's Playroom, which launched with the PS5. It was the free game that was packaged with it. So they had a launch for their other game within that game with a countdown clock, and all the bots would come and watch the countdown clock. And then when it hits, you go through the portal and it boots up your game. And like this is pretty cool. And then I played it a little bit and then deleted my save so that my kid and I could experience for the first time in the morning. Not knowing that I played through a couple worlds by myself.
It's like, oh, let's figure this out.
Yeah.
That's like so we talk about so we were just talking about the Pro, right?
Yeah.
From this type of stuff, even like looking at the fidelity of what they were doing with the levels, I don't think you could do that on a PS4, right?
No, I don't.
So the upgrade to PS4 to PS5, it's like, okay, they are pushing the envelope of what a game can do in a very entertaining and fun fashion.
Yes.
And to kind of just like but you don't need a PS5 Pro to play this one.
No, so I don't know what they would add to it.
So that's like where that's the missing delta, unfortunately. But man, you love to see it. You love to see fun, exciting, cool new properties come out, and just something that people are having a blast with.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, more family games like this. I think that is more is better.
Absolutely. Fun for the whole family, everybody. And with that, we'll wrap it up there for the show. Thank you so much for listening. If you like the show, you can find us on all the major podcasting networks. You can find us on Google Play, Spotify, Caster, anywhere where you get your podcast. Just search for New Dad Gaming. If you do hop on there, we'd really appreciate a subscription and, more importantly, a rating and a comment. That helps massively to get us out to other gaming dads. If you have your own thoughts, do you have a competitive kid in sports? I'd love to hear your tips and tricks for that. Do you have a take on the PS5 Pro? We'd love to get your thoughts. Happy to read it on air. Just reach out to us at New Dad Gaming or newdadgaming.com. Once again, everyone, thank you so much for listening. And until next week, my name is Trevor. I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old.
And I'm Speedrun Pro Gamer Jeff.
S tier.
With a 14-year-old and an 11-year-old.
Remember, everybody, just because you became a dad
does not mean it's game over.